Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tap In with Tristan. We got a great guest today, man. I'm really excited about this one. This we've been waiting for this one for a while. So thank you again for tapping in. And before we go any further, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button and share this content, excuse me. But this is going to be a library of free game, and this gentleman right here, he's going to give us a lot. Yeah, he's one of our Long Island legends, Mr. Bronson Martin. Talk to him, Bronson.
Hello, everyone. I'm here with Tristan, and I'm honored to be on Tristan's show. I mean, I've watched some of his other interviews, and they've been great. The questions that have been asked, the things we've learned, and I hope I can give some more information on my story that gives people some things to kind of learn as well. So, thank you for having me, Tristan.
Nah, man, it's my pleasure, man. Once again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. I know you got a lot of things going on, man. So I'm excited, man. I know a little bit about you, man. We go back a ways. We kind of, traveled in the same circles on some things, and that's about it. I would love to know a little bit more about your story, man. So we're gonna kind of start there, man. What does young Bronson Martin look like, man? What does the childhood situation look like? Talk to us about that.
All right. So childhood. I mean, well, we can start when I was born. I was born premature, so I was born 3 months early.
Okay.
My parents had 7 kids,
Okay.
and I was the sixth of the 7, so I was second to last. So once I got past the premature stage, I was in an incubator for a while and stuff like that, and then basketball wise. So I was a very reserved kid when I was young. I would say when I was 6, I met my first friend on the street. So Hazelwood Avenue is where I grew up. That was like our street. Fast forward.
Where's that?
So that's like in Westhampton.
Westhampton.
Okay. Yeah, in Westhampton Beach. It's basically a 5-minute walk to the high school. But we had a whole bunch of young kids on that street, a lot of boys.
Okay.
And we all kind of grew up together. But the first person I met on the street was Jeremy Ligon. That was my boy. That was like my first friend. He lived right across the street. And I'll never forget when I met him, like I went out in my driveway and he was in his driveway. And then his dad came out. He's like, "You guys want to play?" We were like, "Yeah." So then we went in the backyard of Jeremy's house, and that was a wrap because we just started playing basketball. His dad had a basketball court back there and I didn't have one. So I started liking the game. So we would just play every day, the two of us. And then we slowly transitioned after that to kind of playing with other people on the street, like other kids as we got to know them. So that was kind of my first introduction to I guess basketball in a sense, was with Jeremy and Jeremy's dad, Gregory. And then after that, we kind of had like 5 people on the street that liked basketball. So
Gotcha.
we all kind of play together as kids and stuff. And now that's not organized basketball yet. You're 6, you're 7. You don't know what any of that stuff is. You're just kind of playing with your friends.
Yeah.
And then, we joined this thing called HYAL, Hampton Youth Athletic League.
Okay.
Now this is my first, this is my first organized basketball. I'm playing with my friends, right? So, and then you have some people that are on the team but
they're on the team, taking
yeah, like their support. So, but we, first we were in there at 9 years old. That was my first year playing organized basketball, 9 years old.
Okay.
Like on the Westhampton team, we played like East Quad, like little feeder district schools.
So what's the environment? What's the environment in Westhampton, that Westhampton area? What's the demographic look like? And how was it, being one of many kids in that household? Like, what is that? Was y'all a sports family? Was, academics? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, so the demographic of Westhampton back then was predominantly white. Now you had minorities, but they, and I didn't understand this till I was older.
Sure.
But the minorities were in 3 places: Hazelwood Avenue, Peters Lane,
okay,
and base housing, which was like where the base was near Gabreski Airport, which is like the local airport people could fly into. So the housing there was where most of the minorities kind of lived.
Okay.
So that was kind of the demographic. Other than that, most of the teachers were white. Town politicians, all that stuff. It was mostly white, but that was kind of how it was out there.
Right.
So that kind of answers that question. Growing up in a big family, it was great. 1 of 7, holidays were awesome. You basically have a group of friends already. So I think from a holiday standpoint, and just when I was really young, it was good. But to be honest, like my parents had too many kids in my opinion, because
too many of us, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's just hard to support that many kids financially,
for sure.
and, so we were lower middle class. We weren't on food stamps, but we were lower middle class.
Right.
And my parents, they worked hard for the educations that they had to support us. And, whether it's 2 jobs and, like my mom babysat as well as worked as a hall monitor in the junior high. And she's still the longest tenured employee there now. She still works.
Wow.
Yeah. So I give her a lot of credit, but like other than that, we always had what we needed and stuff, but we never had like extras,
Exactly.
So yeah, that was kind of the childhood, I guess, growing up in a big family. There was a big age gap. I mean, like there was the oldest now is 52 or 51. The youngest is 37. So, the gap there is pretty significant. So being one of the younger ones, I really didn't know my older siblings that well. They were kind of out of the house when I was like growing up.
Yep.
And then, so that was fun growing up, for the early years, but I was more introverted as a kid, like kind of kept to myself, and then basketball kind of opened me up. Like that was my thing. Okay. Yeah. Like, that kind of allowed me to express myself.
That was like the icebreaker to dealing with, people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, cause like, it was a way I felt comfortable, like, talking to people on the court and stuff like that. But in the classroom, I was very reserved and things like that. But basketball was what made me more social. Parents always pushed education. I mean, they always told us how important it was. So that was always kind of ingrained in us from day one. Not all the kids wanted to follow that and do their schoolwork, but for me, like I always liked school and stuff. So I worked hard at it. So for me, it was basketball and school. That was kind of like
basketball and school. No other sports, just mainly basketball.
Basketball, all the way through until 8th grade when Coach Ray said you got to run cross country because he wanted me to get my endurance up.
What's your endurance up for playing? Okay, so let's tap a little bit into that. So now with basketball, let's go ahead back to you was talking about your youth league.
Yeah. So so we had our little team, and you're playing the little feeder districts. So, you play like 8 games or something like that. So we smoked everybody.
Y'all out there smoking people?
Yeah. I mean, it was like, first year felt good.
Yeah.
Second year, same thing happened again. And then, I didn't know this, but we got kicked out the league and our coaches didn't tell us that.
Whoa.
So after year 2, we went undefeated again. And then I found out later in life from like Gregory Ligon, Jeremy's dad, one of my coaches, he's like, yeah, we got kicked out of the league because the parents didn't like that you guys were killing everybody. So they had to join like another league, which actually worked out well because at 11 years old, we joined the Police Athletic League. PAL, yeah. And then so like the good thing about that was we got to play like Bridgehampton, East Hampton, Southampton.
Yeah.
Like Mattatuck, Eastport. And that's when I learned like, oh, we're good, but we're not that good.
There's some other good players out there.
Yeah.
So y'all started to experience like outside of your general area.
Yeah. So like, that's when I first met Courtney Pritchard at 11 years old. Wow. That's when I first met like Darren Miller from Southampton, the whole Southampton team that you knew that won the state title in 99.
In this league.
Yeah. I knew every one of them, basically Trevor Pettaway, they had a whole team that like I just knew them all from when we were really young. And then I played with all these Hampton kids like Jesse Shapiro, Kyle Russell, Chris Messenger, Willie McFarland.
Yeah,
they all were in that league too. So and we all were good, right? So
pretty good players, man.
Yeah. So the cool thing was like when I met all them at 11 years old, like we played in that league for 2 years. I mean, I feel we had the advantage because we had Jermaine Holman, who was like 6 feet tall. So like, that's tall for like 12,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So year 1, like Southampton brought us to like, I think the overtime, and we beat them in overtime. They got to the championship game and then beat Port Jeff. And then the year after, we won again. But, the thing that I got out of PAL was like, we did the traveling team. So like you tried out for the Suffolk All-Star team.
Okay.
So like, that's when I got to play with like Courtney, like on the East Coast. We go up and down the East Coast and play different teams. And that's when you kind of form bonds with people, right? You kind of get to know things about them. And, so that was kind of like 9, 10, 11, and 12.
So was you a good player at this time, or you was like, man, I got a lot of work, especially when you start branching out to playing other guys? Was it still just like, hey, I'm just having fun, or like was you a sore loser? Like, man, this is the world to me. How was that mentality, and how was your game
Yeah.
compared to the
So
rest of the players?
over those 4 years, we didn't lose a game. Um, like
Defeated.
yeah. So we went 4 seasons, two in each league thing. We went undefeated. The only time we lost was when we went to the All-Star teams that traveled up and down the East Coast.
Wow.
And we wanted to win. Like, like we didn't like losing. Like we were trained to like play tough. We played with older men who kind of like beat us up, like the parents, like we had Gregory and Jerry Ligon that like just played us physical like on the court as little kids. So we didn't like losing. I always remember, I always tell Courtney this story. Like we lost in the championship game in West Palm Beach, I think, and Courtney was crying after the game because like we lost by like 3 points, like to Washington D.C. And
Yeah.
his mom's holding his hand while he walks around the court for what felt like an hour, right? And I was like, damn, that's the type of person you want to play with, like someone who like wants to win,
Yeah,
and
he was
like
dedicated. He was devastated
yeah,
that he lost that
yeah,
game.
yeah. He was really upset that he lost, but it showed me as a young kid like this dude wants it,
Yeah.
and like that kind of motivated me to see that. So I guess I liked the game, like like I was having fun with it. Game wise, I actually was tall for my age, so I played forward.
Yeah.
So like when I was younger, I was like probably 5'6", 5'7", and yeah, I played forward. I wasn't really a guard. We had guards. I was a forward, and then I played center, I think, one year. So in terms of the skill level, I mean, I wasn't a great dribbler.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to score down low a little bit, shoot a little jumpers, but I didn't really transition my game till after that period of time. So,
Okay.
but yeah.
What's the vibe now? So I mean, now you're about to start kind of crossing over into that like middle school age.
Yeah.
You're liking you doing a little traveling. You're meeting people from other towns and things like that. You're like, man, I kind of like this. What's the vibe in Westhampton? Because a lot of people when they hear Hamptons, they
Yeah.
think of the white parties with Diddy. They think about all
Yeah.
of these big time things that go on.
Yeah.
Is that the only thing that goes on in that area? Tell us a little bit about the vibe going to middle school. And you said there's only, a small minority in there. So a lot of the other people are white. What's the vibe? Talk to us a little bit about that. We don't know that much.
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up out there is great because as a kid, like we used to go to like basketball camp, like during the day, and then we'd ride our bikes to the beach and like hang out at the beach. So like, that's pretty dope. Yeah. And like in terms of the vibe, I mean, you have your summer people. So like, Westhampton, see what people don't understand is like, you can live in Westhampton, East Hampton, Bridgehampton, Southampton, and you're not rich. Like, like the rich people were back then, where the summer people that only came out during the summer that had houses on Dune Road, or like, just the really nice areas in those towns. The rest of us, like the people I hung out with were just like me, lower middle class families or poor. And they played sports. So, like there was two different, I guess, sectors per se, but you didn't really feel it because you're a kid. Like unless someone's putting it right in your face, you don't realize like, oh, this is going on.
For sure.
But if you look back in your life, you're like, wow, like that was,
Whoa,
you learn stuff,
For sure.
Yeah. So the vibe was fine. I mean, sports was everything to us. For us at that age, probably fifth grade and sixth grade, that's when our high school team started getting good. So, when we were in our first year in PAL, so when I was in, I think fifth grade, that's when the high school team came and watched us play. Cause like we were the talk of the town. Like everyone was
talk of the town in fifth grade.
Yeah. So they had like Coach Trace, it was first year Westhampton. He brought the high school team to watch us play. And I loved that high school team, my favorite one ever, because they had they won the Class B title that year. They beat Bridgehampton for the small schools championship. Like that was when Westhampton, I was like, hey, wow, these players are good.
This is big time.
Yeah. So like we were nervous, but it was great that, they came and watched us play. It motivated us.
I've never heard anything like that. First of all, thank you for, clarifying kind of the Hampton situation, because I think Hamptons, I'm thinking, big time stuff. So thank you for clarifying, saying kind of the classes there. but having a high school team come and watch an elementary team,
Yeah, yeah.
I've never heard that in my life.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, and we didn't even know he was going to be there. And then our coaches told us last minute, like, the high school team's coming. We were like, oh my God, like, you know, because like you're nervous, you know?
Absolutely. I've never heard anything like that.
Yeah. You know, so, and like the funny thing is, like, after that year, you know, it just kind of, you know, pinballed off of that. So, like, that was like my 5th grade year, or 4th grade year, you know. So let's go to 6th grade. So then 6th grade, I wanted to play middle school basketball. Like, I thought I was good enough to play middle school basketball. By that time, I was actually a good shooter. Like, I had been working on my game, like, you know, and I became a decent shooter.
And who was helping you? Who was helping you with your game before you finished that? Was it just the guys in the neighborhood? Did you have any formal training with any coaches?
No formal training, but most of my training was with like Greg Ligon and Jeremy's dad. Jeremy's dad, Greg Ligon, and his uncle Jerry Ligon. So they were the Ligon brothers. And like they worked with us on our games, and then also going to basketball camp during the summer. Coach Race was there, and he would have us do drills and play with the older guys. So I just think over time with that, and then shooting a lot on my own, like your game starts to come into play, where you start knowing what you're good at and what you're not.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just from those like summer camp games and you know, intramural basketball, like within the Westhampton area, you start realizing like, you know what, I'm pretty good. Like, let's see where I can go with this. And I started realizing like, if I wanted to play with the older kids, I had to have an advantage. So what was my advantage? I could shoot better than all of them, right? Like I wasn't stronger, I wasn't faster, couldn't jump higher. So I started realizing that would be my in if I wanted to get on the team and get playing time. Because I had seen how Coach Race operates, and like, if you didn't play hard, you sat the bench. If you couldn't do something, you sat the bench. And he didn't care about politics. So like, he didn't care if your parent was a school teacher or on the board of education.
We don't care about none of that.
Nah.
We don't care about none of that.
Yeah.
So let's go back to that 6th grade. What happened then? You said you thought it was good enough.
Yeah, so I thought it was good enough, but it wasn't allowed. Like it just wasn't allowed in Westhampton. So when like I was in 6th grade, they didn't let me play. So I just played with my local team. I think that was my 2nd year in PAL, I think. And then Jermaine was in 8th grade, and Jermaine went and played on the varsity. So that kind of
set varsity in 8th grade.
Yeah. So Jermaine played.
He was good.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah. So he was on the team. So Jermaine going on the varsity team in 8th grade basically set the path for me, because the following, so 6th year, like I did my thing with my little team. And then in 7th grade, I didn't play middle school basketball because middle school was 6th, 7th, and 8th. I went right to the JV team.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
You was in 7th grade on JV?
Yeah. So
that's unheard of.
Yeah. So and
what's that like, bro? Hold on, you gotta stop for a second, man. Wait. You know, listen, we both got a history in this basketball thing. We gotta know how to go a little. That's unusual. What is that like? Because I went in 8th grade, I was 7th grade. What is that like, you know, having to go and be a part of the high school basketball? Was that overwhelming for you, or it was like, man, I fit right in?
So, well, there's a couple of things. One is in 7th grade, I think I was taking earth science in the high school. So, so I was already going to the high school for one class. So that kind of gave me some comfort. But with sports, you know, going to the 7th, you know, as a 7th grader, I'd go to the high school after school and go play with them. But it was actually comfortable because Coach Race had coached me on the Suffolk PAL traveling team year for 1 year. So that gave me a sense of comfort. Like, okay, like I know Coach Race as the varsity coach, and the JV coach was the assistant varsity coach, and the JV coach, Jack Vivanetto, had coached me on PAL too. So I felt comfortable because the JV coach was like my coach when I was like 11. And 12. So like on the travel teams outside of my Westhampton team. So I felt comfortable there. You know, you do have the dynamic of playing with like 9th and 10th graders, right? And I know they all didn't like me, but you know, like I earned my stripes. Like I worked hard. So I started on that team. I think I was the highest scoring person on that team. You know, throughout the year.
You were 7th grade cooking on JV.
Yeah. And then at the end of the year, like with 3 or 4 games to go, I got brought up to varsity. Now I was nervous, you know.
Yeah, you're skipping all the levels. You're in a varsity uniform in 7th grade?
Yeah. And and, and I scored 3 points.
And you dropped the bucket.
Oh no, I made 3 foul shots.
You had 3 free throws.
Yeah, yeah,
But you in the
yeah.
books.
Yeah, yep, in the books.
You in the books as a junior high kid in the books.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. So we're hearing straight from the source the actual tradition that is, being carried on inside of Westhampton. Was this even prior to you guys, or this is kind of new for this area? Was you guys good, for a long period of time? Let the people know. Is this traditional, or this is like we're in the middle of something special and new?
Yeah, so it was definitely something special and new. I mean, you're probably aware that I have my the basketball page, the Westhampton basketball page.
Yeah.
It says 1992 to 2000.
That's it right there. That's the golden time for you guys.
Yeah. So
right
basically,
in the middle of it.
Yeah. So basically, the era started and ended with Coach Race. Like Coach Race coached at Eastport, then he came to Westhampton. Because Eastport was put on austerity with their sports, and he wanted to coach. So the Westhampton job was open, and he got that job. And he had a losing, I don't know if he had a losing season his first year. I have to check the record books, but he missed the playoff by 1 game.
Okay.
And every year after that, he won a league title 8 years in a row after that. At minimum.
This is phenomenal. So he came and changed that program around.
Changed the culture.
Y'all had the right guys in play. You're in 7th grade, and he sounds like, man, we're getting the right pieces in there. I don't care how young.
Yeah, and the players that were on the varsity, prior to me even getting on the team in 7th grade, when I was in 5th and 6th grade, they won 2 Class B titles in a row.
And this is different. I've never heard of a high school team coming and watching the kid, and they're bringing up kids. So I know that was there animosity in the area? I know there's a lot of excitement, but was there animosity? Because you're gonna have some of these older kids that are getting pushed out.
Yeah, so I didn't experience that my 7th grade year because I wasn't playing really. I was the end of the bench, got in a little bit for 3 games, but 8th grade was where that happened. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah, so 8th grade, and I'm not gonna name any names.
You don't gotta name any names. You don't gotta name names.
Yeah, but 8th grade, when I started, I knew I was on the varsity team going into 8th grade. I worked my butt off all summer. I believe at the end of the summer, I was the best shooter in the program, hands down. As an 8th grader, I was the best shooter that was on that team. Wow. And that was my goal because, again, I knew I wasn't the fastest, strongest, quickest. I didn't have
my contribution.
Yeah.
My contribution. I can shoot this thing. So when it comes my way, that's on me.
Yeah. So I ran cross country. First year I ran cross country was in 8th grade. And Coach Race was like, yo, you got to run cross country, get stronger. So I ran cross country in the fall. And I had energy, man. I never got tired. So that was really helpful.
That's really helpful for a shooter. No, staying strong. So I can do this all game.
Yeah. So we get into the 8th grade season. The season starts, whatever you do, your little intramural stuff. Then the season starts. So the way my coach operated was we didn't have tryouts. If you want to play on a team, you can come try out and practice with us, but we just run for a week. So most people, they didn't think they were good enough probably to join. You kind of already have the team set. There wasn't tryouts where we invite the whole school to try out.
It was already set up. Now I'm not playing or I'm on there. One or the other.
Yeah, pretty much. We didn't have these, it's not like how maybe there's
you know what it is. You're not on the team, brother.
Yeah. But we had a couple people that would like to try that and they just didn't last. Some of them were surprising, but the running, we just run the whole first week and weeds people out quick. So that's what we did. So anyway, 8th grade year, we had a good team. The leaders of that team, Jermaine Holman, Dale Menendez, they were sophomores. Wow. And then I was an 8th grader. So I knew I wasn't going to start initially, but I wanted to start.
That was one of
when I got in the game, I hustled on defense and I was making my shots, So I started realizing on this team, I'm the best shooter. And when I get the ball, I score. So logically, I'm going to play.
I'm playing.
Yeah. So true meritocracy, the way Coach Race ran things, I'd say 5 games into the year, 6 games, one person quit. Some movement was done in the starting lineup and I took an upperclassman starting spot. there was some animosity, I feel. Now, like now I'm nervous because now I'm in the starting lineup and I know I took someone's spot, right?
An upperclassman spot.
Yeah. And like it was either a junior or senior. I think it was a junior, but
big deal.
yeah. So like an eighth grader taking a junior spot, it's like, like it wasn't like I was like saying I'm the man or anything like that, but I felt I earned it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we all know, because we've seen schools that play upperclassmen just because they're upperclassmen and out a younger kid, and you got a coach that's saying, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
He earns it, and he's going to help. I'm trying to get these wins.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to reward the kids that's going to help me do that.
Exactly.
That's really cool, man. Because I mean, it prepares you for life. You know what I mean? You earned it. You know what I'm saying? You have the skill set. And you got rewarded for it. And some other people, they're like, I should be rewarded just because I'm older.
Yeah, no, yep. And you're totally right. Like that was the first thing I earned. I really felt like on the varsity team was that starting spot. Yep. And I valued it a whole lot, like where I never wanted to lose it.
How'd your parents feel about all this, dude? Because this is a whirlwind. This is new for the town.
Yeah.
Right? You got Coach Race in there, new for the town. A lot of kids, you know what I'm saying, some are out the house and everything like that. How was the support? Like, was they grasping all of what's going on? Or
I feel like I was so young that I didn't really notice if my parents were like into it or not. Okay. Like my parents liked the game at that point. It wasn't until later in my career, which I'll probably get to, where it's
we're gonna talk about that for sure.
But early on, it's like they really didn't like, at least my dad didn't really get into it, Okay. So I would say early on, it was still more innocent, like Bronson playing basketball. Okay, Bronson.
Yeah, it's a hobby for him. It's a little hobby. How was your siblings? Did anybody pick up like, dang, my brother is kind of good at this thing, or they, everybody was kind of just finding their way? I
kind of think everyone was finding their way. Kind of the way we were raised was like, you just kind of do your own thing.
Do your own thing, man. We love each other, and we go our separate ways. We'll come. I see you at Christmas.
Yeah. So, eighth grade, biggest game I remember, I believe that year was playing Bridgehampton in our Christmas tournament. Okay. Mo Manning, sophomore.
It's a big game.
They had Nick Thomas back then. I think they had, Fred Welsh, Nat Dent, Javon Harding. I think, they just had a good team, and they beat us by like 15 points. So the biggest thing I got from that year was that's the standard, man. Like that's what, that's all I knew, right? Was like East End and Bridgehampton. So I was like, well, we got to, the Killer Bees. We have to get as good as them. So, eighth grade year, we had a great season. We went, I think, 16-3. But the last game we ever lost at home was that year. So in my career, the last game I believe we ever lost at home was my eighth grade year until I graduated. And it was a very bad loss. We lost to Hills East or Hills West by like 3 points. We were the favorite, but they had, I don't know if you football, Melvin Fowler.
I do know Melvin Fowler.
And Melvin went to work. Melvin had about like 20 something points and like 15 boards, and we just couldn't control him. He was just dominating. So was that Hills East or Hills West? Because they had a couple other good players too, which I forgot who they were, but they had some good players on that team. And they just, took it to us. Like I actually had a good playoff game. I actually had 17 points in that playoff game. I was hitting all my shots, but collectively as a team, it just wasn't our day, and it was a hard to swallow because like I thought we could have won and stuff like that. But you have certain dynamics that go on that I learned that year, and you can't say anything as a youngster. I felt,
This is still eighth grade year or ninth grade year?
That was eighth grade year.
This year, eighth grade year, you don't really know if you have a voice yet.
Yeah.
I earned my starting spot.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some things. I mean, you're above average intelligence. You're taking earth science in seventh grade. So you can see a couple of things.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't know if I'm able to speak up yet.
Yeah. So, that's kind of, how, so the season was still successful, so that was eighth grade year. So then you go to ninth grade year. Okay.
When did you start to see that this thing was like special? Because you guys have a historic season
Yeah.
we're going to get into. When did you see that this is special?
The next year. So the reason I say the next year, because that was finally when Dale and Jermaine, our leaders, had a year under their belt together. I had played with them for a year together. Jason Ritchie, who lived on Hazelwood as well. Mike Ford, Hazelwood as well. Jeremy Ligon, Hazelwood as well. Like five of the.
So the top players is from the same street.
Yeah, so we had 7 players, and 4 were from Hazelwood. 1 was from Peters Lane, which is 2 streets over, and then the 2 were from feeder districts, which was East Moriches, which were Dale Menendez and Dwayne Sanders. So 5 of the 7 we grew up together. Literally.
Oh,
yeah.
So y'all know each other, like.
Yeah.
When y'all look at each other, like it's time for us to get this thing going.
Yeah, so my 9th grade year, that next year, I thought we could do it, So we went through the whole season, 20-0, get to the Class B final, and meet your Amityville Warriors.
Wow.
And that was our first time in Stony Brook, first time. So the cool thing is
that this is new.
So going to Stony Brook, man, I was excited, because I was like, this is the Mecca. This is Suffolk County basketball Mecca. Like, this is what I had watched the older teams play when I was a kid in the stands. When I saw Westhampton beat Copeg, when I saw Westhampton beat Bridgehampton, lose, yeah, I mean, like to beat Bridgehampton, like I saw them lose to Bayshore, but they were winning at halftime. Mm-hmm. And then Gary Williams became Gary Williams in the second half. But playing on that court, you feel like you accomplished something just getting on the court. You're like, I'm here, right? That's so I was nervous, man. I was so nervous because this is my first time. Like Bridgehampton was the first time where I played against like people that I thought were good. Like really good. Like, you're a little more intimidated because you're playing against people that are quick, stronger. You're not playing against white dudes. Like, you're playing against dudes that are, of color, that strong, physical, can run, jump, and they're going to tell you that they can do it too.
And they'll talk to you about
it. Yeah, they're going to chirp, right? So you go into this game, and Amityville had Henroy Douglas, they had Oliver Hinkson, Eric Lamont, Boyd O'Kelly, Teron Carpenter. There might have been one other guy, but those are the main 5 I remember because I was on the court a lot and I was a starter. So, we played our butts off, like we hustled. It was a low scoring game. We had to lead, with I'd say 24 seconds left. We were up by 2. And I was like, we're going to win this game. I was like, and we're the underdog, right? Because Amityville was ranked number 1. Westhampton was 20-0, but it was West Ham's the East End. Nobody knows them. And we had held our own the whole game. And the reason we did was someone stepped up. Role player Dwayne Sanders, our center, went to work. He went toe to toe with Henroy and Oliver. He had 16 points as a sophomore. Awesome. So I'm seeing that on the court. That just motivates you. I'm like, damn, he's in 10th grade doing this. We're gonna get this. Because Dale and Jermaine weren't playing that well. They were our leaders. They were in juniors, but Teron just kind of locks people up.
Yeah, he's a good athlete, division.
Yeah, so that kind of mitigated Dale, and Jermaine just didn't play too well, but Dwayne played awesome. Yep. So that's the reason why the game was close. That was the main reason. And we hustled as a team. So we had a turnover, and then I think Eric Lamont got fouled and then made 2 foul shots, and then they tied the game. Then we had another turnover, and Boyd O'Kelly hit like a 10-foot jumper, and then there's 3 seconds left or 4 seconds left. So we're down by 2. And, the play was, I knew if I got the ball, I was going to shoot it. Okay. Because
I'm shooting the 3-pointer.
Yeah. So the mistake I made was that when I got the ball, I just shot it up right away, because I was like, oh, the clock's going to run down. And I'd never been in this position.
Yeah.
This level.
So you kind of rushed it.
I rushed it. Right. So the ball hit off the backboard up high, but we got the ball back. And Jason Ritchie, I call him my splash brother because the 2 of us just shot 3. We sniped people. Right. Jason Ritchie got the ball. He had a shot and he missed it, and then we lost. And we were all crying after the game, upset.
Tough loss.
Yeah, tough loss. Amityville's happy and stuff, but they were real respectful and stuff. After they did a little celebration, shook our hands, yo, you guys are good. And Jermaine Holman said, he's like, never forget Amityville. He's like, Amityville was the reason for 98, right? So I think that summer, man, we had people doing IS8. Dale did IS8. Jermaine did IS8, because they're both going into senior year now. Dwayne did IS8.
So this is different. I mean, y'all driving out to, so for the people that don't know IS8, what is IS8?
So that's, that's your first, well, for Long Island players, that's your first taste at playing against ballers, like people that can ball, and having that guy on the microphone that will tell you when you got cooked.
And, to Queens. So IS8 this is Queens, New York, and it's not very big. It's in the middle school, and they have a guy on the microphone commentating everything. They got a DJ, and it's another world. It's like Rucker Park, but in a tight spot. And when you're coming from Long Island, it's a game changer, especially when you're coming from the East End. I mean, y'all driving way out that thing. What was that experience like? And do you feel like that it helped you guys going into this next thing?
So it totally helped. I mean, like I didn't play in as many games as Dale and Jermaine did, but I did go. And like, I believe we played with Jimmy Moore's team at that time. Like his dad would take us in there to go play. It was intimidating, but I think it toughened us up and got us accustomed to playing against physical players that would talk to you, that were better athletes, so on and so forth. And, so we did that summer, but we also worked in our games a lot. We played a lot.
What idea was that? Because that's unusual.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. It must have been my head coach's idea.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot who actually got us into it, but they got us going to like the games.
That's smart, bro. Because I mean, that's how you get better, is playing that top-notch competition. So hats off to you guys for going out to that, from the East End of Long Island all the way to Queens.
Yeah. And so that was our first flavor of like, this is what basketball is really like. Right. So then going into my my sophomore year, the famous 98 year.
Yeah.
We had, we found, this is our third year together. We actually had Jeremy Ligon now join the top 7. So now we had, Jeremy Ligon, myself, Dwayne Sanders as the underclassmen. And then you had the 4 seniors, Mike Ford, Jason Ritchie, Dale Menendez, and Jermaine Holman. So that was our top 7. That was our main rotation. We had 1 wing guy and 1 big guy. That's it. Unless we were blowing teams out, that's the 7 we played with. So I'll never forget it in like the basketball preview, because I'm doing like the whole scrapbook stuff for the page, and I did 98.
Okay.
Jack Agostino said, they got everyone back. They're a very scary team, right? And like we were, because now we all were more stronger. We all had worked out over the summer. Physically we were much stronger. And we knew each other. Like we knew what everyone loved to do, right? So Dale knew where to get me the ball. Jason knew like, okay, Bronson's off today, I got to pick it up. And like we all just played off each other. And in 98, we got to 20-0 again. And, went through my head again, creeping about, like, I don't want to lose this game. Now we had some big games before that. So, proving points. We moved up from League 6 to League 4. So you got some big dogs. You had North Babylon, you had Huntington. Those are the 2 big teams, Sayville. And everyone was like, oh, Westhampton in League 4, can they do it? Again, not thinking we had the talent. So we were on a proving mission. First big game number 3 or 4. I have to go back and look at the page. North Babylon. Now playing Barry Baker. Now we had played Barry Baker the year prior. Okay, I didn't know who Barry Baker was. I was a freshman the year prior. He was a sophomore. All I know is I didn't box this individual out. He almost dunked it on my center on the putback. I was like, I had never seen an athlete jump like that. I was like, it was in a scrimmage at our high school. And I was like, people do that? Like, it was incredible. His ability physically, his physical gifts. I mean,
out of this world. So I remember that going into that game sophomore year. So I was like, well, we're playing them on the road in their gym. And, first half, man, we just blew them out. We were up by 20 points. And then at halftime, Jermaine Holman walked in there and writes 0-0 on the board, like 0-0. And meaning you got another half to play. So, the game was a little closer in the second half, but we won by like 20, 25. That was the first proving point. Yeah, beat us. We can do it. Like that's a big dog right there. And we punched him in the face.
Yeah. So that the second big one was beating Bridgehampton in the Suffolk Eastern Officials Tournament at Suffolk Community College. 5-point win, tough game. But the problem with that game was, like, in the paper they wrote, oh, Maurice Manning was hurt. strained ankle or something like that, or strained hamstring. So I felt like when we won that game, it's like we didn't get our full due.
I didn't get y'all full credit over it. So they're like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
okay, but we'll put a star next to it.
Yeah, exactly. So
So
then,
but that probably irritated you guys. Right?
yeah, I mean, these are all mental notes that I put away. And yeah. So you remember all this stuff. So then, like we beat all the other teams in League 4. Some of them were big games, but the only other one I really cared about was North Babylon at home. So we beat them again, by like 30 points, and we played well.
North Babylon.
Yeah. Barry will tell you. Yeah. We smoked them twice. The third time we didn't smoke them, but we still won by 15 points. But
That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, but you're playing in a high school sized gym. You're not playing at Stony Brook. So Stony Brook kind of changed a lot of things.
Yeah, the depth perception is bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's you got a lot more eyes on you. You have the papers. Sometimes the television is there at this time. Different ball game.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys are used to each other, and you're used to dealing with a certain few towns. And now in the high school, y'all branching out. Y'all playing guys from the city.
Yeah.
Y'all playing guys from Amityville. Y'all like, all right, you're getting exposed to a lot more in this basketball world.
Yeah.
So y'all feel more equipped for this thing. So now, what does it look like, y'all? 20-0 again.
So 20-0, and I'm sure it was on everyone else's mind, but it's like you're playing Harbor Fields. They had Earl Williamson, Brandon Sellers, and Tamarcus Jones. For people who don't know Tamarcus Jones, that boy could play. He could score, easy, and like he was just a very good player. And Earl was good too, and Brandon was a good passer and all that. Like those are their big three. Mm-hmm. I think we were nervous that game. I mean, I had a big game that game, scoring wise, but we won by 18 points or something like that. But the game was close to the fourth quarter, and I was nervous because I was like, if we lose again, man, it's like we just can't do it. Like people are gonna be like Westhampton can go 20-0, and then they lose in the big games. Yep. So winning that game was so important because I felt like it finally validated us. Like, okay, you won a Class B championship, so now we at least matched our prior teams that I looked up to. I was like, okay, they won Class B championships in Suffolk County, so we did too. Right. Fine. So now we're 21-0. So who do you play next? Small Schools Championship, Bridgehampton. Now, we were all still kind of annoyed that people didn't give us our full due the first time, okay? Right. The game, so the game was close, for the first quarter, but the thing about our team that year was once we turned it on, we just blew you out. Like, because we just scored in bunches. And the game's a little different today, I feel like, versus back then. Back then, there wasn't a lot of good three-point shooters, right? So back then we had two on the wings. Right. It was like two B2 bombers, right? So Dale just kind of, looked at who's open and one of us is going to hit some. Yeah. And we were able to run and stuff. So we beat Bridgehampton that game probably like by 30 points. And that's when I felt validated on the East End. I felt like, you know what? We're not Bridgehampton. We'll never be Bridgehampton as a program. But for this year, we are that team. We
the guys, man, and that's got to be a great feeling. How did the town feel about this? Was it everybody getting involved? Because I mean, this is pretty historic. Yeah, so now it's starting to get special. I mean, we had great fans the whole year, and I even feel like we had great fans in my 9th grade year and even my 8th grade year. There was just great support in the town. I mean, people loved going to the basketball games. It was like the thing to do. Mm-hmm. And we had all of our fans that travel with us, so they were all at the games. We had like a hoop troop, like they were loud, like it was awesome. The students were phenomenal, and you hear it all too when you're in when you're playing. You had a full environment. Everybody was involved. Yeah, it was really cool, like to have so many students and like teachers that were really into it. So like we beat Bridgehampton, then we played North Babylon for the overall county championship. And you know what, like by the third game, I mean, it's tough because they knew the first two games, I think I had 20 plus points both games. And like, they knew, okay, let's stop Bronson and not let him shoot. So then couple that with the fact that it's hard to shoot at Stony Brook anyway, I was kind of screwed. Like in my mind, I'm like, I can't shoot at this gym. And it's really hard to shoot here. And then also like, they're going to key on me. So, and it's harder to really blow teams out at Stony Brook, as you know, because it's a bigger court. It's harder to shoot, so you lose an advantage. You lose the shooting advantage.
So, you know, it was a tough game. I mean, you know, it was like a 10-point game. We had the lead, but it was a 10-point game, probably all the way to the fourth quarter. We finally won by like 15 points, but it felt good just to like win that final third matchup. But you play a team 3 times. I mean, it's tough.
That's tough, especially with the caliber of a guy like Barry Baker, who's a takeover guy. He has a 50-point game in his career. You know,
I know he does. Yeah.
I mean, that's tough to do, man. So so y'all storming through Long Island.
Yeah. So now we won. Well, best team is Suffolk. And now you're playing for the Long Island Class B championship. So we played Southside.
Southside, pretty good team.
I didn't know much about Southside, but to be honest, like they only had like 2 black dudes on the team to begin with, and I kind of felt like, man, I'm not worried about it, like because it's not enough. I mean, they had the 2 Bailey brothers. They had Mo and Brian.
Oh, that's not enough.
And I was like, I felt confident going into the game because like I knew we had played against like top competition in IS8. Like we had played against people that like to talk. We had played against Amityville in 9th grade and got beat up a little bit. I was like, okay, they got Brian and Mo. So our big guys are going to go to work down low. And Brian and Mo may have big games, but we're not getting shut down on the perimeter. So, you know, they were a high octane team. You know, like I think we shocked them in the first half. I think, you know, in my career, it's like not many times I've been in the zone. I had a 3 or 4 minute period where I had like 10 points, like 2 threes, 2 twos, screwed up their whole defensive scheme because they were trying to like key on Dale. Dale just passing me the ball, I would hit it. I think I had a 4-point play or something. And then after that, it was just like back and forth. We already had a 20-point lead, so the game was over.
Devastated them early, and it was over.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, won the Long Island championship.
What's that like?
I mean, it felt good, but it didn't feel, to me, I enjoyed winning the Suffolk County title more.
There was a lot more stock in that one.
Yeah, because like that's Suffolk County, that's where I'm from.
That was where you're from, and you needed to feel validated with all of the other stuff that went on. And you got Bridgehampton, who is historic in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, man, Southside, I don't even know you guys, man. We're gonna get y'all anyway.
Yeah. And like the South Side's like an intermediary game before you go upstate. So I was like, it didn't mean that much to me, except I wanted to get upstate.
So
right?
Upstate, dude. You know what I'm saying? I know that the town has to be buzzing, bro. This is the first time, am I right?
Yeah, first time ever, yeah.
This is the first time in y'all school's history that you guys are representing Long Island for the Class B. What's that like?
So, you know, you're nervous, you know, the week before we head up there, you know, we had practice or whatever, light practices, not running a lot, but, you know, going into that tournament, you know, Penyon, we played them, blew them out by like 40 points. I mean, some of these teams shouldn't be up there, in my opinion, and they get in there.
It really depends on where the seeding and where they're coming from. But again, you know, if you didn't see that strong competition, man, you're gonna get devastated.
Yeah.
And so, good team, man. Like you said, y'all utilized the 3-point line before, you know what I'm saying, it was utilized like it is now. So y'all had the skill set of that thing. So y'all had a couple of those. It opens up the defense, and a lot of people don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, and you know, like the championship game for the public school was West Hill, who was ranked #1, undefeated at I think 26-0 or 27-0, and us, who were ranked #2. So it was the first time all season I felt like we were the underdog, and we were undefeated. So it was #1 and #2 in the state for Class B, and we beat them 56-36. And like we played probably the best defense we played all year. They were a bigger team. They had 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", and like, you know, at every position they were taller than us. And we just ran them out the gym. I mean, and our defense was phenomenal. Point guard played out of his mind on our team, and that won us the game. Our defense and his play, I feel like, and the key play of role players, you know.
So you talk about let's talk about race, and then we're going to talk about it. Coach Race.
Yeah.
Said he wanted you guys to run cross country. And do you feel like that was a factor because y'all was running teams out of the gym?
Yeah.
You sound like I'm hearing a lot of 20s and 30s and 40s and 15. Like y'all beating teams by double digits, really good teams. And what was Coach Race like? What was his philosophy? What was your relationship with him? And then we'll talk about this feeling of a New York State title.
Yeah. So Coach Race, you know, in some ways he was like Bobby Knight. You know, he was real tough on you. He'd get in your face. You know, test your manhood. But he loved you. and I realized that much later in life, like I went and spent time with him last week and stuff, and we have a great, great relationship today. But back then, we had some tough times. I mean, he'd get in my face, I get in his face, but he got the most out of his players. For someone like me, I'm barely 6 feet, I'm not super athletic. I look back at my career, he got the most out of me that I would have ever thought was possible. And I think he did that with all of his players. He helped us all try to get in the colleges that we wanted to go to. He cared about us, and he built like a nice family for us. And that was important because I didn't always feel like we had that in Westhampton. Like the basketball program became bigger than the school, and that created problems. Like within the whole dynamic of like what's important to the administration versus what isn't.
It shifted everything with the success.
Yeah.
So you guys are public school champions.
Correct.
But for some people who don't know, there's what's called the Federation Championship. We have it in New York State. So they'll take the city champion and the private school champion, and they throw them back in the hat for another weekend. What did that look like? Because now you get almost like a double trip.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. We enjoyed that, but not every state has that. You just have your championship and you hang your banner. And you got to go up there and get an extra 2 games or extra game. What did that whole situation like? I'm just kind of a whirlwind. You're your first school's champion, and you still got a little bit more to do. Was y'all comfortable just saying we're public school champs, or do you want to get the Federation? Because y'all haven't lost the game yet, am I right?
Yeah, so you correct. We haven't lost the game yet, so we're 26-0. And first state title in any sport for the school.
Any sport,
yes, any sport. First state title in any sport. So across the whole history of the school. So when you're that, like, the thing that is as you win more, man, to lose hurts even more. I mean, so much is at stake in your brain. So like we're 26-0, and what I'm thinking, and my teammates, I feel like, was that we got to win again, right? So we Wadley was the city school. They had won the city championship, PSAL. Catholic school champ was St. Mary's, and then we were the public school, and then the independent didn't show up or whatever. So there was 3 teams. Yeah. So we played St. Mary's in the semifinal. Wadley got a bye to the final.
Yeah, they got a bye.
So St. Mary's, as my coach said, it was like the United Nations team versus the hometown team, because we all were from the same street for the main players. So like they joked about it in the paper, but basically, going into these games, like I would look at what players were on the team. So I'd heard Joel Suarez. I was like, yo, this dude is good. Top 50 player, sophomore, rising sophomore. I'm a sophomore. Like, okay, let me see what this man's all about. I had never played against them or anything, right? So when I played against, so we get to the game where we didn't play man. Like if we played man, I think it would have been harder for us to do what we did. But we had such a great zone defense, trapping people, and we all knew our positions, that we were able to take advantage of that. Because we didn't have the best athletes, but we had a great defensive scheme. So if I had to guard Joel Suarez one-on-one, that would not happen. That would be a problem.
Good fit. It wouldn't be a good look for you.
Absolutely not. So, the thing is, like, he was the first guard, and we'll talk about 5-star and all that, because I didn't go to 5-star yet. I was only in 10th grade. He was the first guard I ever played against that had a first step that was unreal. Like his first step was so quick, and then his pop-up for a jumper off that first step, there's nothing you can do. I mean, I think Eric Ferguson was really quick, but I had never seen someone that had this first step with a jumper off of it ever. So he was doing that against us in the game. He didn't have his best game. He still played well. I think he had like 19 points or whatever, but we were able to win by 18 points or whatever, like we played well as a team. So, so now I'm feeling good. We get to the championship game, and man, I just didn't want to lose. Like I wanted the seniors to go out with a win. And ironically, like it wasn't one of my best games, but we played a city team, right? And it reminded me of IS8, and we pulled it out. We won by 11 points, 28-0. And that was history right there. And like, that was it,
Bro, that's a historic, for those who don't know, that is still locked in. Nobody has gone undefeated since.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Congratulations, bro. I mean, that's a feat. It's really hard to win every game. It's really hard to win every game, and you guys did it, and smoking teams too.
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
So yeah, I mean, yeah.
so,
So that was kind of like probably my favorite part of my career,
absolutely,
because then it's, yeah, I mean, you kind of reach the mountaintop.
absolutely. So, what does it look like after? I mean, I know that is this something like, man, I would like to probably do this in the next level? Are you trying to do this? Is this a time where, like, I really like this basketball thing, I would like to go in the next level? And what's the thought process?
100%. So this is where the story starts getting interesting. So, man, I'm 28-0. I'm a state champion. I'm looking at me now, right?
Well, people know you a little bit now.
Yeah. People know me. I was third team, I think, all state that year as a sophomore. So I'm like, I'm pretty good. Like, maybe I can go somewhere with this. No, I went to 5-star that summer, and I was like, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Like, I don't know any of these people at 5-star. And then I met some people. I met Talik Brown. I met Omar Cook, Fab Fisher, Andre Barrett, Ben Gordon, DeJuan Wagner, Mark Jarrell Wright, Marcus Toniel. I think you're getting my story. Luis Flores, Deshaun Williams, Kyle Cuff, Scott Hazelton. And I'm going to do a post on my thought of the week about 5-star because and this is why I know the players. I have it kind of done already, but I played against the guards that were just so good. I mean, and it's hard to explain to people, like, because I was really good, right? It's a different level.
We're talking about NBA caliber.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference than,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, neighborhood basketball.
Yeah, it really is. Quicker, they're stronger, they're smarter, and people don't understand this. Like, people don't understand how smart athletes are. Like, LeBron James is a genius. His brain is so much more polished than 99% of people in America or the world, whatever you want to say,
Process a lot of information.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah.
To be very successful. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
the game, the fluidity of their game and the maturity of their game at a young age is really different. And that's something that was kind of lacking for a lot of Long Island, is not having that much exposure to that. Because if we do and have more exposure to that at an earlier age, it's a little bit different. You're starting to see that now. When you got 5-star and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. So my first year at 5-star, like, I did okay. I mean, no, I played on a team, I think, with Kyle Cuff, Deshaun Williams, Scott Hazelton, and they were like, Bronson, just get open, we'll pass you the ball. So they actually kind of knew a little bit about me, which I felt flattered.
I'm in the mix.
Yeah.
I can shoot.
Yeah. And like, that was the first time I ever saw someone do like the East Bay Funk dunk.
Yeah.
I saw Deshaun Williams dunk from the dotted line. Like, these things were like amazing to me. I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, I'd never seen this stuff, So for me, it was like awe, like, to see how athletic these guys were. So I went, I played decent that first year, going into my junior year. And, I knew that the next year I'd be the focal point of the offense. So I worked on a lot of one-on-one moves with one of my coaches, Ron Golson, who played for Bridgehampton, then became a Westhampton coach. So he worked with me endlessly that summer, one-on-one moves, learning how to, score and things like that on my own. And, but I started understanding, like, yo, bro, you're not going to the next level on a high level. Like, I was getting letters from like Xavier or Davidson, some mid ones.
Yeah.
But, so junior year, like, I went into junior year, we had a good season, went 19-2. We lost to Southampton. They blew us out by 15 points. We lost to in the Suffolk Community College tournament at the Holiday, and they won the state title. And then we lost to North Babylon, Barry Baker Sr. I knew he was mad. So, he got blown out 3 times a year prior. And I was nervous playing him in that game because I was like, he's probably pissed off about last year.
Take it out on us, man.
Yeah.
Take it out on me because I'm the key player right now.
Yeah. So, me and Dwayne Sanders. So he had 30 points and they won by 15 points. We kept it close somewhat for the game, but they just ran us at the last quarter, So that was junior year. And then, to be honest, like, after sophomore year, though, I started losing the love for the game the way I used to have it. And like, the game started becoming a job. Just because, like, 4 of my really close friends graduated like after sophomore year. I felt like we would never get to that level again because I knew how hard it is to get to that level. We didn't have the talent for that. Not that that's a bad thing, but
pinnacle that sophomore year, and it's like, where do I even go from here?
Yeah.
Like, we got the teams first, the schools first.
Yeah.
We're historic. We didn't lose a game. It still stands today. Where do we go from here? We don't have that same level of talent or the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And then you're the focal point too. So that's a lot of extra weight that you got to carry on there too, just to keep these guys. Because now, if you go 28-0, I don't care if everybody leaves that team, you're a target now.
Yeah, yeah, and like some people don't forget like what we did to them the year prior. So
we're gonna get them from 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. So junior year we had a good season. Went 19-2, and we did the same thing senior year. We lost to Longwood in the Class A semifinals, but we also became a Class A school my junior and senior year. So that didn't help because you're playing against tougher competition. Let's be honest. The players are better. Like in football, they have this whole league thing or conference thing where you don't play like the big dogs. My thing is like, you should be playing the big dogs. It's not like they're born in a different country or a different world. Nah, we're all the same people. Yeah. It's either you're better or you're not. So I actually like playing in Class A because I'm playing against the best players for the most part. So, but also at that time, junior, senior year, my dad started getting more involved in like with wanting to have more like input, and that didn't really rub me the right way.
You wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that because, I'd already kind of started seeing the writing on, like I started looking at my future and I was like, I'm not going to go to the NBA. And that was a little depressing. I'm not going to lie about it. Or I'm not going to play top D1 basketball. So I was like, I know I'm good in school. I'm doing my schoolwork. I want to go to a really good school. So I always wanted to go to an Ivy League school. Like you could ask me why. And it's like that, to me, that was like the pinnacle for education. Yeah. And I wanted a really good education because the other problem I had as a kid was like, with all that success, people start labeling you, right? So, and labels work both ways. So like the label I got was like, oh, Bronson's a really good basketball player. But then you also get the label like, oh, you're an athlete. So you're not intelligent. You don't know how to manage money. You don't know how to do this or that. And like, I started feeling that too. And like, I didn't want to be that person that someone would look at in my life and they go, oh, see, Bronson didn't make it because he was an athlete, da, 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 da. So that started playing into my thought process for my future. So to be honest with basketball, like definitely after my junior year, I knew I was going to quit basketball. I just didn't tell anybody.
Wow.
Yeah. And like some people probably hearing this for the first time, I knew I was going to quit. It was a matter of when, right? So matter of when.
Because let's put a pin in that. This is profound because like you said, man, there's always some type of connection to the NBA. You know what I mean? Especially if you have success. And then there's a realization that NBA is probably not going to be for me somewhere along the line. You know, a little bit later than others. Yours is like, I just want the 5-star. I see what NBA looks like. Yeah. It's not quite me. You know what I mean? And then also, the love might be dying out for me because of all of these other things that are connected to it. So inside of me, I know that now I'm on borrowed time with this. And how did that feel? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it was a little bit depressing, but then what did it linger? Or it's like, man, I'm cool with it and I'm gonna own it. And when it's time to let everybody know, they're gonna know.
Yeah. So I had made that decision before my senior year.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. I had made that. I told nobody. And like the reason I had made that decision, because like, I'd already like, I was really firm on the decision once I chose a college. So for me, like I looked at different schools and, I basically looked at Rochester, Cornell, Yale, Brown, NYU, and Amherst College. And I said I want to go to Ivy League school. So I narrowed it down to Yale and Cornell. And ironically, when I went to Yale on my recruiting visit, I met only white people. Now, nothing against that, but I didn't want my high school experience all over again. I went to Cornell, man, everyone looked like me. Everyone was cool, diverse. I thought this is home. This is home. So once I got into the school, there's no interview. It's like, Bronson, we want you, you're going to go. You get your letter in a day. Yeah. So I got into Cornell, and then that's when I started planning, how am I going to quit? Ironically, I'm planning this while I'm in my senior season. I had a great senior season. I mean, I had a bad injury, but I played through it, had a good year. Like I think I missed Player of the Year by 1 vote to Will McClurkin because Longwood beat us.
Wow.
But but I still had a good year,
Yeah.
But I had started on parallel tracks of like what I wanted in my life versus what I was going to get out of basketball. Crazy.
That is crazy, bro. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this, man. This is fascinating. Keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
Yeah. So I had 2 parallel tracks, doing my basketball career and figuring out my life. And basketball career ended at Stony Brook, lost 61-60 to Longwood in the Class A semifinals. I'm angry. Like, we were down by 2. I had the ball, right? And I had Vinny Samuels on me. I was like, well, I had 2 bum ankles now. I sprained the other one in that game. And I was taking codeine for half the season because of this ankle injury, because I torn tendons in my ankle. And only my brother knew, like my brother was on the team that year. He was a sophomore. Wow. So like when you spoke about like your younger brother and how he had to live up to your expectations, that was like my younger brother. So he held a vial of codeine for me that I would take at times during the game. He knew I'd give him a sign, be like, yo, I need one. And he'd give it to me. So I played a lot of games on codeine. Wow. And I sprained that second ankle in that last quarter against Longwood. And I'm like, Bronson, you got to get through this, man. Cause I got a little spurt of energy, scored a little bit. I think I had like 20 points in the game. I didn't play my best game. The point guard carried us, my best friend, Jeremy, and we lost by a point. And I was upset, crying after the game, punching lockers in the locker room because my career's over, right?
Career's over.
But I was angry because I knew my career was really over. Like for me,
you already
really
last year.
Yeah. So now, again, I didn't tell anyone that I wasn't going to really play in college. So now, I was already into Cornell. Obviously I got financial aid because my parents didn't have any money. And it was, nice to have financial aid. So, get to Cornell, go through preseason, do all that stuff. I actually might have played longer, but the problem is like college basketball is a business, as you've said before. Like the coach who recruited me got cancer or some like major illness, and he resigned. So then the coach from Penn came in, Steve Donahue, and I'm young. He's telling me not to shoot the ball. I'm like, I'm gonna shoot the ball. Like if I'm open, this is what I came here to do.
What I do. I've been doing this since. Wow.
Yeah. So of course I probably said some things I shouldn't have said, but I was, young and I was hard-headed, that's like I'm a kid, and I started seeing the writing on the wall. Like 3 people quit before me. So I went all through preseason, did a couple preseason games. And this is how I quit. So I went to the financial aid office. I said, if I quit basketball, will this affect my financial aid? Like, cause I got a lot of grants and you don't have to pay back grants. You like, that's free money. They said, it will not affect your financial aid. I quit the next day.
I'm good. I just need to know that's intact. So I'm here with that.
Yeah. And it was a tough decision. I mean, cause like I knew I was going to get a lot of pushback from home, so like when I quit, I was crying, I was all upset. I was depressed for a couple of weeks. Wow. But the day I quit, like I finally had a life. I finally had like friends that were not basketball players. I finally had the ability to build an identity that wasn't basketball related. I was finally able to be like viewed as a person and not like a thing, right? And like I felt like I finally had the chance to like prove like I'm really smart, I'm really educated, and I can be super successful. And this is now my time to own this decision. And, that's what I did from that point on. I mean, I graduated with honors and all that stuff. And I worked really hard in college, but I went to a school where everyone's really smart, like, and you have to do, your schoolwork and just compete. So I had to compete, educationally.
And you was hardwired to compete, but that's fascinating because, again, you're from a town that's not known for the sports.
Yeah.
And then inside of that window, mainly of your career, they were known for one thing, basketball. And it actually overtook a lot of stuff in the school district, changed the dynamic, but it also, in a sense, because you guys were such rock stars, it typecast you.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was something that you was very cool with because, if I'm not mistaken, you was taking earth science in 7th grade. So you're like, I'm a real student athlete.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like in high school, I was taking all AP classes, so yeah.
So typecasting, you're talking to the wrong one.
Yeah.
A student that has the ability to play basketball.
exactly.
Once
You
you
know,
actually quit, you know what I'm saying? It's devastating because that's a part of your life that
yeah,
was, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you're like, I get to wear a whole new identity
that's
that
right. Yeah, yep.
is freeing for you too. So that's a real fascinating dynamic. And I'm sure there's quite a few people that will watch this that can relate to that. That's profound.
Yeah.
You don't hear that too often.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and even in high school when I was in all those honors classes, I was one of the few minorities in those classes. So I felt it was my obligation and responsibility to do really well because I was representing the next minority to come up behind me, right? So if I looked like someone who wasn't doing their stuff, it's tough.
That's off to you because going into high school, I was in those classes and I was
Yeah,
like, this is too much for me. And I
yeah,
got out. So hats off to you for even sticking it out, man, but also recognizing the importance of being able to go through that path, man. So that's a fascinating path. You was planning your exit strategy
yeah,
in high school and
yeah.
you're one of the top players in the area.
Yeah. Well, you know, like you see the writing on the wall, you know, I mean, like with your ability. And then I definitely saw it in college when I got there. Like, honestly, like if the coach had stayed there, I probably would have played a year and then I would have done it then, you know, but it just seems so right. Like in my opinion, I sold my stock at the highest level I could have sold it in terms of what I got out of basketball, right? So basketball got me in any school I wanted to go to. It got me a lot of grant money. I still had to take out some loans, but it got me a lot of grant money. It got me a great education. And then I was able to just focus on my education. So I always try to tell kids, like, use sports to get what you want out of life. Don't let sports use you, because a lot of kids, you let sports use them. And then it's like, it's too late,
Yeah.
you know?
I love
So,
the analogy, bro. You said I sold my stock
yeah,
at the right time. I got what it need and it dropped me off. You know what I mean?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Drop me off, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna take this next lane for the rest of it, man. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, kind of what we're doing now. You know what I mean? What we're doing now. Um, you're handling, you know, a page for that golden era of that basketball time. What does that look like? Are you still in contact with those guys? Because it's not just Long Island, it's historic for the state of New York. I mean, the state of New York is rich with basketball history. You guys were
Yeah.
playing, oh, last
Um,
year.
yeah, I mean, you know, the page has a couple, you know, significant things to me. One is like, you know, I had saved a lot of stuff from my career. Like, you know, I'm real organized and stuff like that. And I saved all the articles. But then I also found out like that I had saved some games that were televised. My high school coach had a ton of the games. And then Jermaine Holman had some of the games. So we got them all digitized. And then I was like, well, if you get it digitized, what are you going to do? Just put it back in storage? I was like, well, let me share this as a way to kind of connect with my teammates and stuff like that. So for like my generation, that was like 98, 99, 2000. So then I was like, you know what? I want to get the tapes from the earlier teams, the ones I used to follow. So I actually did a post yesterday where I mailed all their tapes out because I got them when I went to Long Island last week from Coach Race. You know, one of my teammates brought them to the house, and then I got them and brought them back to the city. And I don't know if they will digitize, but I at least want to try. That was from 92, 93. And I love those guys. Like that gave me like the vision to want to play basketball. And the funny thing is, like, I actually talked to some of the guys from the 92, 93 team, like, you know, and then like, I like doing birthday posts. Like when it's their birthday, I'll post pictures and stuff, like some music in the background, you know, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely, man. You're having fun with it, man. But y'all
Yeah.
guys created some memories for that area. And it was really guys from pretty much the same block. That's
Yeah.
they're just those guys right there. And then you had the right coach at the right time to go ahead and do that. And it hasn't really been the same ever since, huh?
Yeah, I mean, not on the East End. I mean, you know, and like that's why I want to celebrate like for the things I have, like Bridgehampton. So I posted some things on Bridgehampton and the players that I still talk to, like Mo Manning, Ronnie White, you know, Courtney Pritchard. Like I have stuff about him when they won in '99. You know, I have stuff on you, you know, like that you'll eventually get, you know, that I have got from Coach Race. So, you know, like there's things that I'm gonna post for each year for people that I know, like either I played with them, played against them, because I feel like it's a Westhampton page, but I want it to be inclusive of people that were like part of that brotherhood, right? Like people from the different schools that were, you know, we all were all Long Island, we all were all state, all of us, most of us won championships on some level. Like, and to me, like, that's what I like. The most rewarding thing is like we all kind of get to have this brotherhood as older adults. And that's why I want to share those things as I go through it all. And it's going to take me a lot of time, but it's been a great quarantine project to start. And I'm sure I'll do it less over time when I start getting back to my normal life. But it's a lot of fun to like read about all this stuff, because the funny thing is, like, all of us were really good at basketball, whether it's like you guys at Amityville or us in Westhampton. But the ones who were like really good players, they're just good people, and like they're successful in whatever they do in life. And like it kind of correlates. Like if you were a good athlete, most likely, and you kind of kept your head on straight, you're going to be successful in life because you know what it takes. And I think that's a lot of the reason why, you know, you and I played together at Empire State team. Like I never played with Mo Manning, you know, but there's just a mutual respect, right? Because you know what these people did, you know what these people went through to get to that level. And it's unspoken. Like you just know, like you just respect it, man. And that's how I view it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, man, because I mean, we vibed at the Empire State, like you said, with the respect type of a thing. And we haven't talked to each other for a long time, and then we kind of reconnected through Facebook, and it was like we didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
You know, that healthy respect. And then there is a correlation to sports and even life. There's a lot of life lessons in sports. And it does help sharpen up certain skills to be able to navigate through life. But I really like what you said as far as having sports, you use the sports in an appropriate way instead of having it use you up, because it's going to. It's,
Yeah.
it's something that's looking to replace you on a daily basis. You know what I mean? And it's a machine. So thank you for sharing that and being very, very honest in that. Because I'm sure there's quite a few people that feel that way. Like, man, I see the writing on the wall. And
Yeah.
I don't know how to, take a step off of this machine, especially with all of the people that are expecting me to do Y and Z. But
Yeah.
it's not them.
Yeah. I mean, and it's tough because, you know, you're doing that. I did it at 19 years old, you know, or 18 years old. And
Trouble doing that at 40.
yeah, I mean, and it's the toughest decision even today that I've ever made in my life. And, you know, like, so when I quit, my dad didn't talk to me for a year, you know, like that's the type of stuff I had to deal with. I had to deal with, you know, he was disappointed, you know, but, you know, I also feel like he lived his life through me when it came to sports. So, you know, that didn't help the situation. And that also kind of probably played into me not really didn't love the game as much anymore as I got to junior, senior year, because
like a job.
yeah, it became a job. Yeah, it wasn't fun, you know? Yeah. So, you know, but it was the first decision I made and I owned it. And I look back on it, man, and that was a stepping stone to just me being my own person, you know?
Yes. So, man, that's profound, bro. So again, man, thank you for all of this. Like, I love this because everybody has a different experience. I also love it because it gives me an opportunity to celebrate guys like you. So I want to say thank you, bro. I want to say thank you for, being candid, but also I want to celebrate you as just another young black man that went through a lot. You know what I mean? And some was spoken and some doesn't necessarily need to be spoken, but there's going to be a lot of hurdles. There's going to be a lot of stereotypes. There's going to be a lot of different things thrown in your way that we have to navigate through. Some we have a blueprint, some we don't.
Yeah.
And then also you was in the midst of success that your town has never seen before. So y'all blazed the trail and you did it with class. You know what I'm saying? You did it with class. You just stepped away for the most part with class to where, you're saying you're still an honorable guy, man. So hats off to you, man. I want to give you your flowers while you're still here, man.
I appreciate that.
That's a big deal, man. And hopefully this segment, this conversation blesses somebody that even if they're not dealing with the same stuff that you're dealing with, that they can take a nugget of information from this and be better off for it.
Definitely.
So what would you say, man? Let's wrap this up in a bow, man. What would you tell some of the youth that's out there, man, that's kind of involved with sports? What would you tell some of the parents that's kind of involved with sports, man? And just not just sports, but just life, man. Give us a nugget of some good free game before we get out of here.
All right. So There's a lot I could say, but let me see. Okay, so sports are fleeting. I mean,
Yeah.
kids, sports are fleeting. They can end in a heartbeat, and you may not have that forever. Education is everything, and I can't, especially as a minority, because the way that the world is set up, you are at a disadvantage if you are not white. So, I'm half white, half black. You are treated as black in America. Like that's how this works. And the fact that you're starting behind the 8 ball in terms of equality in America, you need to find ways to even the playing field. And sports can be part of that, but the way you do it is education, whether you're being a doctor, whether you're being a lawyer, whether you work in business, but that's the way you kind of do it. And I would just hope that parents, especially in the minority community, spend money on things that can further their kids' future. So meaning like instead of spending $50,000 to buy the newest car, maybe spend $30,000 and take the other 20,000 and send your kid to like 5-star basketball camp, or send your kid to like, if they're in the science, to like a science camp or engineering camp. Just things that can further their career, because at the end of the day, I do donating a lot of it privately and stuff, and don't like to share that. But the thing is, like, you can give someone $100 and they can spend the $100 and then they need another $100. But you can teach someone a lesson, like the things that you're teaching people with your show and your podcast and things that you're doing on Facebook, and that can help them for a lifetime, right? Yeah. And that's much more valuable than the money. So, that's something that I've kind of taken from your show, which is where I try to give back more with my time and my experience, because that'll help people long term versus just giving them money and short term fix. So I just hope that parents really value education, like, especially in the lower income minority communities, because that's the way you get ahead in life, and we need that. We really need that. Like we need more minorities in Congress. People always talk about, oh, well, when are things going to change? Well, look at your Congress makeup. When everyone is more diverse in Congress, you will have change in America. It's that simple. Same with all the high level jobs at Fortune 500 companies, or, teaching, things like that. Like, it all kind of comes together. And lastly, one thing that the Black community needs to do, and minority communities in general, but the Black community for sure, they got to support each other more. You got to pick each other up more. Stop trying to like tear people down. We're all in this together. And that's what I try to promote, amongst all of us, so.
I appreciate that, man. I think that's great free game. And there's a lot of validity to that. I like what you said, especially with the networking part of it. And this is one of the reasons why we're using this platform to network. You know what I mean? Because you're going to know people that I don't know, and I know people that you don't know. But if we form bonds, now we can start helping one another, create different type of opportunities for change, especially for the up and coming. So again, man, hats off to you, man, and God bless you, man. I really thank you for your time, man. This has been a blast. I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about the East End, and really proud of you, bro, because ultimately you represent the same region that I represent. So it's really cool to just see somebody else that went through similar things that I went through, but also a lot of different things in a different part. It's really fascinating to see. So again, I can't thank you enough, man. I'm excited to even watch the playback myself. So
I definitely appreciate it, Tristan. So thank you.
Yes. So for everybody, make sure that again, y'all hit that subscribe button and share this content. If you have a comment, please leave it there. I'll definitely get back to you. If you have something for Bronson, I'm gonna put his information in there. So if you have a question for him, we'll find the answer for you for sure. All right. Until next time, tap in with Tristan. God bless you guys.